This is going on YouTube for people who don't know the KPonce. This is my buddy KPonce. We actually got to know each other drafting and playing a lot of limited, but we come to find out we mutual love for modern and a lot of the same Orzhov cards, but different decks, which makes it interesting because we're kind of attacking those colors at a little different angle.
Yeah.
So people know I play a lot of tokens and I've done a lot of John Grixis, Esper Shadows, my recent kind of tier 1.5-ish type deck. I've done zombies, vampires, black devotion, that kind of stuff. And I've done some death and taxes, but tell us about you. You're the lots of and taxes.
Yeah. Mostly play taxes in modern. In paper, I actually own a good amount of modern, but on Moto, I basically only own taxes decks, and so I mostly play mono white, black white, green white, red white, blue white. Basically any kind of taxes you can think of, I've tried it. Any kind of like bouncy, flickery deck, I've tried it. Any kind of Thalia Vile deck, I've got built.
Well, and you get a lot of toys from this set. You definitely get more toys than I do for tokens, but yeah, that's why I thought of you for specifically, because a lot of cards that I feel like I would play in some of those decks, but I'm definitely curious to get your opinion on some of those. And we'll, like we were saying offline, we'll see how we do with some of the cards that you and I probably won't play in modern, even though they're good. So we'll go. And I think the viewers will love the giant size Godless Shrine there in the background of your room right there.
Shrine.
There's your devotion to the cause.
Yeah, it's back there.
So we'll just kind of get going. Free format. I've looked at most of the cards. I know you have not looked at all of them, but I'm going to have the cards up on screen, so I'm not going to have to read them all. Hope people can read through. We can just kind of start talking about them. So we're going to go kind of through all the colors. White will be first, which is where we're probably going to spend the most time.
Yeah.
First card right off the bat, Answered Prayers. The card just screams Bitter Blossom, obviously.
Yeah. It could be good. Bitter Blossom. I think 3 mana for a 3/3 flyer that gains you some life. I don't think this is going to see any play in modern.
No. It screams Bitter Blossom, and like it looks sweet, but I think if you just looked at it objectively, right, like, you know, even just in standard right now, there's Resplendent Angel, which is just same casting cost, but it's always a 3/3 lifelink creature with like way bigger upside. So like, I would never play that card in tokens. So like, why? I don't know. I'd play this. It just they trick me into thinking it works well with combo, but it's not. It's just going to be a sweet limited card, and that's all it is.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think of Astral Drift? I have no idea if this can be a deck or not, so I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I definitely played. That was actually when I got into competitive Magic, was when Astral Slide was like the big deck in like 2002. I was working at a comic shop and I was like, oh, Magic. Yeah, I used to play this like when I was in middle school and elementary school and stuff. So I like tried drafting and it was awesome. And I was like, let me try to get into Constructed. And this was the deck at the time. That was like the deck. It was a red-white deck with Lightning Rift and Astral Slide. And you just cycled a bunch of stuff. So you're just constantly like digging through your deck and killing and exiling creatures while you're doing that, and like killing your opponent while you're doing that. So it was like kind of a way to attack what people were doing on like a different axis, which was really good at the time. Now paying 3 mana for enchantment that doesn't do anything when you're in just the battlefield, and that you have to cycle a bunch of things for
Right.
to like maybe get some value off some creatures that are gonna get exiled and come back at the end step.
That's the hard part, right? Is there you could scrape together some playable cycling cards in modern, right? Like now we got the cycling lands obviously, and you've got some, because I'm assuming you'd probably go like a blue white thing. Like there's couple creatures, they printed a new one, and there's one from Amonkhet. They're like just cost 1 blue to cycle. There's some white cycling cards. There's like the hieroglyphic illumination and censor and cards that are like cheap cycling in blue, but you need
those. You don't have enough creatures. To
exactly, exactly.
I don't see it.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure people are going to test it out, and I'm sure
it's better than Astral Slide, and it's in modern now.
Right. So
yeah, there might be something there. I'll probably try it at some point.
Right.
If I find some, I mean, they have the 1 white cycle land now.
Right. There's really just no payoff. It's a problem. So.
But yeah, right now, like, I mean, blinking Flicker Wisp every turn is pretty sweet. But like, is it
right?
You have to put a bunch of cycling lands in your deck and a bunch of something else. Like a 3-mana do nothing is probably not going to see anybody.
Yeah, I don't see it, but it's they're doing a lot of cute stuff in this set, and I appreciate that. But most of them aren't playable.
but I don't think it's gonna be playable.
All right, right off the bat, you ready? You ready for me?
This one's a big one.
This is the second card I wanted. The card I wanted most was Vindicate, and we didn't get Vindicate. But this is probably the reprint card I wanted second. As I think it's sweet. There's a lot of, I'm in a couple like black white tokens like chat groups and whatnot, and some people think it's terrible. Some people are excited for it, like I am. But I've been trying to find a way to like categorize it and like simplify my description of it. Is for the most part, like it just makes 4 tokens, right? Like you only need 1 other white creature. And you can build your deck that way. Like a lot of people are main decking in tokens, just like 4 Auriok champions or at least 3. Like that's going to stay in play because it either is against a deck that can't kill it, or you're playing against a deck that doesn't care about it, like Tron or Blue Eye Control, in which case they're not going to kill it because they don't care to put any attention to it, right? So you're basically getting 4 tokens for 4 mana, which is just a little better than Spectral Procession. And a lot of times you cast Spectral for 2 white anyway. So obviously you have to work, but you could do that. But the way
Spectral and
maybe I've been replacing with other things like History of Benalia and whatnot, but there's you need a lot of space. Because I don't know you want 4 of these either. Like you probably want a mix of both. But I like it more as like adding the Lingering Souls. Like you just cast the one side, and the way I like to play the deck, like I have to have a really good reason, and it obviously depends on the deck I'm playing against, but I'm very rarely like flashing back Lingering Souls. Like I'm usually playing 2 tokens at a time, and if you can get a Virtue out, like that's enough of a clock, and you wait for them to, especially post sideboard when people are bringing in sweepers, like you just leave the souls in your graveyard, right? So now you can leave souls in your graveyard, leave the back half of Battle Screech in your graveyard, and then with 1 creature you can jump from 1 to 5 just out of your graveyard, and then you kind of immediately rebuild. So the 2+2 is very real, which is why Lingering Souls is just the best token maker ever in the history of Magic. So if you can turn this into that, I think it's interesting. So I'm going to do a lot of testing for it. I'm definitely going to put some videos up and test this card out, but I think it's exciting to have something like this to test out if you're in the business of making flying tokens.
Yeah, I mean, it's potentially powerful. I don't know if you need more than Lingering Souls and like your 2 mana and format of planeswalkers and whatever.
Right.
I don't know if it's necessary in that deck, but I haven't played that deck enough to know.
Right.
So if it seems exciting to you, I'm happy to try to see how it works.
Yep. I'm excited. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough, but
yeah, I mean, it's great in Pauper.
Yeah.
Pauper,
Yeah.
and it's great there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Pauper is like a more powerful format than Modern in a lot of ways.
In some ways it is. Yeah. It's a lot of legacy going on there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to test this out. So we'll see how that goes. Dismantling Blow.
I think we can skip the next two.
Yeah. We're going to talk a lot about blue-white control, obviously. But like, I don't think blue-white control even cared. Like 6 mana is way too much for a 3-for-1.
Play. I don't think Enduring Sliver is a
I don't think so, but here's the question though, right? So we can talk about this once and not have to like harp on it after every single sliver. Is do you think sliver deck is a thing now?
I haven't actually read all the new slivers.
Okay. Well, we'll kind of peruse through them because I mean, I've lost to the deck before, right? Like people people play it.
It's a 2-2 deck. It's like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
You can play slivers and win.
Yeah, there are some spicy slivers here, but I think what I agree with and that people have talked a lot about is just like getting better sliver creatures that make your other sliver creatures big threats. Like isn't what the deck was missing, right? Like it's worse than humans because they don't have interaction. That's pretty much like that's the line, right? That people talk about.
They did get a really good blue-white 2/2.
That's true. So did humans.
So did humans. So did spirits.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. That card is busto. All right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, this sliver's not going to make it. But I was just curious to start talking about it, and then we can kind of skip through slivers unless there's one that we feel is like particularly powerful.
For sure. Yeah.
Ephemerate. You were talking about this before we started.
Ephemerate. Yeah. This is like Cloud Chips is like almost playable in some like really blinky versions of Taxes. It's not like you don't want to waste slots in your deck on a card that just blinks a creature, but I've tried it in mono white Taxes with Flicker Wisp and with Blade Splicer and with Restoration Angel. Like you can do some like pretty fun things, and it's 1 white mana, and this is just a much better version of that because you not only get it the first time, the exact same wording as Cloud Chip, but you also get a rebound, which is like almost good.
Right.
I could see it being okay, especially like out of a sideboard, maybe like a 1 of or 2 of, and you just bring it in against Path to Exile decks.
Yeah. If you can get a card out of it, right, then you can probably get 2 cards out of it with the rebound. So,
if they try to bolt your Blaze Splicer and you blink it with Ephemerate, and then on your
that's already a 2-for-1.
Blink it with Ephemerate again, like it's busted. Yeah, it's like really really good. Obviously, that's like best case scenario, but like if you just happen to Ephemerate your own Flicker Wisp on your end step and take their other land,
right.
And then it comes back on your upkeep and you blink something else that also gets you value. It could be good. I don't know if it'll actually see any play, but I could see it like a 1 of in the sideboard.
Sure. Yeah, this is up your alley, so I trust that it'll be good.
Blinking stuff is powerful.
Yep.
If your stuff blinks and does powerful things like you got Deputy Detention and you Ephemerate it, or like actually really the biggest like abuse card you can use with Ephemerate is Fiend Hunter, because that is the old templating.
That's right. That's right. Just blink it while the trigger's on the stack.
Yeah, blink Fiend Hunter while it's going to exile one thing. One thing stays gone for good, and the other thing is
under the Fiend Hunter. That's sweet.
You do something on your upkeep with Ether Vial.
All right.
It's pretty good. You can pile something in.
I'm gonna.
Down trigger.
There's. This is not one that caught my eye at first, but we're gonna put this on the list of the many cards in this set that make me want to play some KPonce decks over the next few months. So, or I think we're going to spend this summer brewing up some Taxes builds.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun Taxes summer for sure. Although who knows what Modern's going to look like after this set gets released.
Right. All right. Face of Divinity.
Yeah.
So here's it looks like nothing. The only thing I can think of here is it's a Daybreak Coronet, right? You get +2 instead of +3, but you can cast this before you cast something else, right? Like, so
if you wisp out your other thing, it doesn't die. It doesn't go to the graveyard.
Exactly. Like, now I'm not a Boggles player. I despise the deck, but it seems like it's just a safer version. But if you're playing Boggles, you're not signing up for safe, right? Like, you're just going to town and see what happens. So
I don't know if you're playing this in Boggles, but maybe like a 1-of just to have a 5th Daybreak Coronet. Right.
That's the only thing I can think of. But other than that, I don't think so. Yeah. Exalted Sliver. Again, I don't think it's doing enough. Yeah. All right, we got.
Next one's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we got 2 interesting ones.
Yeah, both of those.
Force of Virtue. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I was a little disappointed. I think there was a fake Source to Plowshares. That you could exile a card.
Yeah.
It was like 2 mana, Source to Plowshares, exile a card. You can cast it on your opponent's turn.
Sure.
And I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Like, I can instant speed and my opponent's creature on their turn, and then 2 mana Source to Plowshares. Sounds good.
Right.
But it turns out that card was fake, and this is the white force. And I mean, I think it could be useful in tokens.
No. I'm super disappointed. Every time I see it, like, I still keep seeing creatures you control get +2/+1, because, like, if you the fact that it costs 4 and it's in a modern set and, like, it has all this cool stuff, like, I just assume that's what it should do. Because if it did that, then it'd be super interesting, right? I don't think it'd be busted, right? But I would test it, right? Like, it'd be good. And, like, I keep reading it, and I don't know where I got that. I think I just made it up in my head of, like, that's what I wished for. But you're +1/+1 just on its own. Like, there's so many better Anthem cards that exist, right? Like, first of all, Intangible Virtue is just, like, you already play, like, in tokens, you already play auto 4 of that, and, like, it's better objectively, and you don't really need
Honor the Pure.
Yeah, you don't really need more than 4. If you want to, you can play Honor the Pure, right? Like, which is great. There's even things like Spear of Heliod, right? Which is, like, it's an anthem, glorious anthem that also kills creatures, right? Like, also all your planeswalkers are anthems, so, like, you don't really need more. It's cool to have them. And, like, the 0 mana to be down a card and a white card, right? It's not like you're gonna pitch an extra land to this, right? Like, you're down like a real card, and you exile it, so it's not like you can discard your Lingering Souls to this, right? Like, you're just exiling a card, right? It's just it's so bad for an effect that's so small. Now, like, if you're telling me I could, like, if there was tons of, like, damage sweepers that this would, like, save my creatures on it as at instant speed, like, you could maybe see it, like, oh, you cancel out their Static Caster or whatever, but realistically, like, any other Anthem's going to do that anyway. And unlike the other forces, right? Like, your play pattern isn't to get your Anthem out as soon as possible. Like, you're trying to play your creatures, and then you play your Anthem and attack once your creatures are not summoning sick, right? Like, usually the Anthem's the last thing you play out. Like, you play it out on turn 3 or turn 4. So, like, you can afford to pay 2 mana for an Anthem. And you never want to pay 4 mana for an Anthem, because you may as well just play Sorin or Gideon. Like, so I don't know what deck will want this, like, when there's just Honor the Pure. So yeah, I was super disappointed. Like,
it's bad. Yeah.
It looks like a tokens card, but it's just not. I guarantee you it's terrible. Yeah. The next card, though, is not terrible.
That should vindicate you.
Dude. That is the saving grace, right? And it's an instant. Um,
Yeah, it's beast within. It's beast
it's
within.
it's it took me a while to like once I started thinking about this card, I realized it's great. Like so tokens especially, like we don't really care about a 3/3 ground creature. Like we're good against ground decks, right? Or against creature decks, sorry. Um, and if you're killing something like this, you're probably killing something busted, right? Like you're killing a Tron land, you're killing a Planeswalker, you're killing Ensnaring Bridge, right? And them having a 3/3 doesn't matter. And
Or you do it to yourself and you need
exactly against a creature deck. If you're playing against an aggro deck and like you don't want, first of all, if you're playing against an aggro deck, like you can just turn their Tarmogoyf into 3/3 and that's like fine. But if you're playing against humans and like they just have tons of 2/2s and 3/3s or whatever it is, like you just turn your spirit token into a 3/3 and you got them, right? Like the other thing is just like you kill your own Bitter Blossom. Like if you have a Bitter Blossom out and you're at like 4 life, right? And you don't want to die to your Bitter Blossom, like kill your Bitter Blossom, make it a 3/3, which is a 4/4 with intangible virtue, right? With vigilance. So because it's a token.
Yeah, no, I think this card's for sure good. I mean, Beast Within is good in modern.
Right,
and
right.
I think Generous Gift is going to be good in modern.
And I like the white elephant joke.
Good flavor.
It's good flavor. So I'm excited for this card. Do you think like Taxes Dex needs this or runs this?
It's potentially a card. Like I've run Oblivion Ring or Oblivion.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Oblivion Ring in my sideboards. Oblivion Ring's kind of cool because you can Flicker Wisp it if you have an Ether Vial. Same way like you do with Fiend Hunter. You can play it, target something, effect on the stack, Violent Flicker Wisp,
right?
Blink it,
right?
Or blink your Flicker Wisp and do the same thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's I don't know if it'll be like a one of in sideboards. The fact that it kills lands and it's white is kind of cool. Like white hasn't had a straight up like destroy anything kind of card.
No, because all those like Anguish and Making is what like some people play in black white, but like you can't hit lands. Yeah. So
it definitely has applications and it's easy to cast, which is it'll definitely see play, and I'll definitely try it out.
Yeah.
Just a catch-all.
Yeah.
I might even be able to main deck it in certain decks.
I'm probably gonna main deck it, right? Like because I've got 1/1s I can turn into 3/3s if everything fails, you know. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I think it's definitely good tokens. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that one for sure. You're right. That is our Vindicate. So
that's the closest thing we got.
Yeah. Sadly, it's probably one of the best cards that tokens got out of this set. Even though there's a lot of cards that are like trying to go into tokens. There's one more we'll get to that's probably better or debatable.
It's
but
worth mentioning that like we can destroy anything in Taxes and then have Displacer and Flicker Wisp.
Oh, just get rid of it.
Blink that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anymore. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Yeah. Maybe a main deck card. Probably not more than one. But
right.
There's usually like a 5th slot for like another path type effect.
Sure.
And this one hits Ensnaring Bridge.
Right, and it is destroy, so it's not exiling, which is kind of worth noting.
Yeah, definitely not as good, but
yeah, but
pretty strong.
It's good. Cool. Gilded Light, nothing there, right?
Don't want that.
All right, here you go, buddy. Give her runes. Give her runes. Go to town.
They made Stepmom.
Stepmom. I hadn't heard that yet.
It's kind of like Mom. She's a little bit bigger, but wise, and she doesn't protect herself. I don't know. I mean, definitely going to be worth trying. Already have like lists built up with her in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool that she's not a human.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
It's cool that she has 2 toughness.
Yeah.
It's really bad that she doesn't protect herself.
Yeah.
But it still means that she's like a lightning rod for whatever the first bigger push, lightning bolt, fork bolt, whatever it is.
Right.
So cool, like a good effect. It's not gonna be like Mother Runes, where if you vial it in on their end step on their turn 1 or whatever, or their turn 2, I mean, then like if they don't kill the Mother Runes immediately on that end step, you just have like a blank of whatever their first removal spell is forever, which is really powerful if they're a little bit low on removal, like they have 1 swords in their hand, 1 lightning bolt in their hand. In Legacy. So in Modern, if they have a Fatal Push, they just push the Giver runes and then wait till they draw their next thing. And I don't know. I don't know if it'll be good enough, but it's definitely something I'm going to try.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, right? Like it's I think there's going to be matchups for it. There's matchups without it, but yeah, I mean, it's a Death and Taxes card, right? Like whether it's good enough is another question, right? I think it's like the Battle Screech, right? Like it's a tokens card. I don't know if it's good enough, but you're gonna have to test it out and find out.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it gives you protection from colorless is pretty nice. Like,
yeah,
Ugin, take up, try to kill your thing. And you're like, it's protection from
can't
colorless.
do it.
I don't know if Ugin take up would ever make sense when they give her runes in play.
Yeah, they're just gonna -3 and 4 and just wipe your board.
But like Karn -3, pro colorless.
Yep. Yeah, you just block Eldrazi all day. You block Wormcoil Engine all day, right? Like, and they don't gain the life from the Wormcoil.
The fact that you could be playing against Eldrazi and they just have a bunch of blockers and they're at 2 or whatever, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna give this.
Oh yeah, attack through it. That's true. Yeah.
And just kill you.
Right.
Yeah, it's like it adds a lot of
versatility.
A lot of play. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's definitely gonna be okay, if not good.
And you may only want one of them, right? And if only there was a way to search up your 1-drop that you only want to play one of in your deck. If only. Maybe we'll get there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think there's any tribal deck that wants a 2-mana 3/1 that couldn't have it before?
Absolutely not.
Do you think there's any tribal deck that wants 2 2/2s for 4 mana?
It's better than a 2-mana 3/1, but no, not.
Yeah,
hard.
I think it's close.
Good limited card.
I mean, there was a while. It's definitely a good limited card, right? But there was a while where, like, I think Merfolk was splashing white. Like now they're all splashing green. But something like Merfolk, like that really wants the card advantage of like getting like 2 2/2s is very real when you've got 8+ lords in your deck.
Yeah, double white.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's there, but I'm just trying to think of like what decks are like close that could use the card advantage like this. But yeah, I don't.
I mean, Merfolk's 4-drop can make like 7.
Yeah. It's just vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
King of the Pride.
Cat Lord.
See, maybe this is where I got my +2/+1 thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I love that they made this card. It's not going to see any play.
I love that they made this card. I think this is one of the cards that one of cards like this that are getting people to call this set Commander Horizons. Because it's just like there's cards like this that are just like, what are you doing in Modern? But like,
I mean, they can't make every single card like.
No, but there are cat decks in Modern. Like people have made cat decks in Modern,
for sure.
And if Modern gets to a point where like you can play a cat deck, right? Like maybe cat decks are the ones that want this last card, right? The Irregular Cohort. But also if cat decks are like good in Modern, like then Modern's in a much better place than it is now.
If anybody wants Irregular Cohort over like Collected Company, I think they're doing it very wrong.
You know what? You're right. There's no way anyone plays Regular Cohort because that's just getting you too real. Yeah. All right. Forget that Collected Company just shoots my idea out of the water. You're right. Yeah, it's a good point. So anyway, maybe we're close to cat deck.
Could be a thing.
Yeah. So we got a limited card in the night. First Strike Sliver, I think that's already exists.
And,
Here's one that people have at least talked about, Martyr's Soul.
yeah, I've seen people talk about this in Legacy Death and Taxes, actually.
Wow.
Which, I mean, it's a 5/4.
Yeah.
You Violet in on 3, which is not bad. It trades with Gurmag Angler, which is like legit in Legacy. In Modern, which I think is what we're mostly focusing on here, it still trades with Gurmag Angler.
Yep.
You Violet in on 3. If you're playing Giver of Runes and maybe like Thraben Inspector, then you have a decent way to power this out on turn 2.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, is you still can't, right? Because even if you go 1-drop, 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 then you've tapped your lands to cast the other 1-drops on turn 2.
Right, it's just going to be a 3/2, which is
Oh, sure, yeah.
not that good.
So just like a 0 mana 3/2 is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, you have to wait till turn 3 to make it a 5/4, which is fine, right? Because then you can do that and then like O-Ring or Flicker Wisp or something like that. But
yeah, I could see it being playable in decks that I've built with Mox Amber and Kithian in the Samaru.
mm-hmm.
Like I think those decks might want to play this card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just more beatdown version decks.
And you're gonna have 3 creatures out on turn 2 a lot of the time.
Yeah. I hope it finds a place, right? I think again, like it's a cool card. I think it's just like it's just not strong enough, right? Like you're just cheating out a big creature, and so. Yeah. But it's one of the. It's like the Cat Lord, right? Like if this card's played, then like Modern's gonna be in like a kind of a mid-rangier place, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that like Venerated Loxodon sees some Modern play and is much better than this. If you're trying to tap a bunch of creatures and put
That's true.
Play.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've tried the Mox
Amber
Moxabots or whatever.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like Ornithopter and Memnite and Venerated Loxodon. And it was fine. It was just a bad affinity / bad Texas deck.
Sure.
But it was kind of fun.
Yeah, get there.
This next one I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. So let's go. Let's hear it.
So Snowplow.
Yep.
Is I think a good name for it.
That's what I'm calling it from now on.
1 white, exile target creature. You gotta attach it to a snow land.
So it's like, I mean, it's basically just 1 white, like 1 mana O-Ring for creatures only, right? Like, so it's plow, but they can get their creature back if they happen to kill your enchantment, and it's sorcery speed only, right? But like, that's still fine.
Yeah. The problem with it is there are bouncing things. Pretty much all the blue decks play like Repeal or Wipe Away or Cryptic Command. A lot of ways to like get their thing back.
Right, and they bounce your land too, so like this just goes to the graveyard, so you don't get this back. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be pretty bad. I mean, Repeal can't hit lands, but yeah, the other ones can, and it'd be rough. But for the most part, it's hard to kill basic lands. So if you put this on your plains, you're kind of good.
Right.
It's a good rate, obviously, 1 mana for anything. But the fact that it is not an instant, and the fact that it does have some downsides, means it's probably only going to get played in the sideboard.
Right.
But, I mean, the downside to Path is kind of big sometimes. And I could see this being better than Path in some metagames. And maybe just play 13 snow plains.
Yeah, the reason I was thinking about this was just because I've been like looking at like what already exists and the kind of decks that have been going out and what we're getting from this set, like the next card and others, is like there's a good argument for like mono white deck, like mono white D&T deck, just because there's so many good white options now. And then so what are you doing with your like mono white deck? Like what are you getting out of not splashing? And like you get to play some utility lands, right? You get to play some cycling lands, which is cool. And then like, well, okay, like let's just, if we're just doing all like, if we're going to be playing like 12 to 16 basic planes. Like, why not make them snow planes? And then like, what do we get out of our snowlands? This is one thing, right? This is very real. But I think this is like the only thing you're getting in white, right? There's really no other like snow payoffs in white.
In mono white, no.
Yeah. I don't know if there's stuff left over from Cold Snap that I'm just not aware of, but
no.
Like you get scrying sheets if you really want to.
Sheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you're playing scrying sheets.
Right.
Because you want to play 4 Ghost Quarter and 4 Mutavault / Tech Edge /
Yeah.
Ruin, maybe even more. And you're probably playing 22 lands minimum.
Right.
So that leaves you with.
Well, and if you're going to play all those colorless lands, right? Like you can't be playing like scrying sheets, right? Like isn't that a colorless land too?
It is a colorless land. Yeah.
So.
You could play 4 Ghost Quarter. You have to play 4 Ghost Quarter, but you could play 4 Ghost Quarter, 3 Tech Edge, and a scrying sheets or something, and like play 14.
So the other thing, we'll get to this, right? But since we're on the conversation now, right? Like if you're going to be playing Mutavaults, there's that snow Mutavault land in this set, right? So like maybe you're like going, maybe your other basic, your snow permanent payoff in mono white is like Snowplow and the eight Mutavaults, right?
I mean, Onton Ice being a snow enchantment does give you more snow permanents, which I wasn't really thinking about before. You're likely to have like 2 to 3 in play by turn 4. And I don't remember exactly what the snow manland says, but is it subtracted per snow permanent? So,
do you have it up there?
Wait, the Bastion?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Mobilized District. Yeah, I don't think you're playing this card. No, you're definitely not playing Frostrock Bastion. It's got one more toughness than
it's a 2/3, right? Yeah.
But it's no. I don't think that's seeing any play.
What does it cost to activate?
1 snow.
So more than Mutavault.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a worse Mutavault.
Yeah, it's not gonna see any play.
All right.
It's gonna be fine and limited. But
right. So we're on Nice. Well, so we'll see. I mean, I trust you to test this out. It's just, basically just a chain to the rocks that like you don't need to be playing mountains, right? You can just play mono white, but
yeah, and I mean the raid is great, and the downsides are small, so it's like I think it will definitely see play. I don't know if it's right to play 14 snow planes and no horizon canopy / whatever the new ones are.
Yeah.
Because it's generally good to have horizon canopies in your 22 land Ether Vial deck.
Yeah.
That, like you're gonna flood sometimes, and you really want to be able to sack those lands.
Right, now you get 8 of them, right? So no, you get 12 of them if you want.
If you want, you can have 12. Yeah, which definitely you don't want 12, but you might want more than 4.
Yeah.
Maybe. Depends on how much burn and aggro's in the format, but
right.
Yeah, I mean against control, I would love to have 8.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the one of the more unoriginal names, but still a sweet card.
Yeah, Ranger Captain. So
they could have just made it like Captain of Eos, right? Like they didn't have to like totally whatever.
Yeah, it was interesting that they did the hyphen there.
Right. Whatever. So
yeah, it's a powerful card. 1 less than Ranger of Eos, and it only gets 1. But it has another effect because it's the captain. You can stack it, and your opponent can't cast non-creature spell.
Yeah,
Which,
I think that's
to somebody in their upkeep. It's like kind of strong.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like you can, and also you get to choose, right? Like maybe you just want your 3/3, but you obviously like protects your team against sweepers if you have a big board, right? Like against Phoenix, if they're not like actively killing you with creatures anyway, Like they can't flip their thing in the ice. They can't get their Phoenixes back, right? Like they just can't do anything on their turn.
Yeah, I mean, unless you sack this and they're upkeep and then they respond with
going to town on you. Yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't think about that.
And goes opt, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, yeah, I think it's better against like Storm.
So that was my other one. Is Storm is the other one, the big thing, right? And then obviously it's just like blue white too, right? Like they can still like cryptic command you or something and do something if they want, but like they can't cast sweeper on you.
Yeah, they can cast their planeswalkers or the sweepers.
Exactly, really anything.
I don't know how much that effect is gonna actually help.
The big one,
maybe with Snapcaster on the stack, you sack it.
Yeah,
it could be powerful.
The big one that I've heard that makes a lot of sense is kind of responding to the miracle trigger on Terminus. Because you get to see, you guys both see like the miracle trigger, and then you sack this, and then they can't cast it for the 1 mana.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. So
that makes sense. Yeah,
and again, this is good because it's on a card that you might play anyway, right? Like,
yeah, I mean that is just like gravy on top.
It's basically delicious gravy on top. It's
good. It's definitely I'm gonna try it out for sure.
Yeah.
Grab that Giver Runes, Stepmom.
Yeah. Right. Well, and there's a lot of like Hate Bear 1-drops that are just like not quite powerful enough. So I think, and this is where like I'm kind of more of a question than anything, but I feel like there's a lot of Hate Bear 1-drops that are pretty decent, like all the 2/1s. There's like one that does anything you want them to do. They're just not quite strong enough, and so they don't get played in DNT decks. But if you can just run like only one of them and just search them at will, right? Like what's the Dryad, the Celestia hybrid one, like Dryad Militant, and
yeah, like, I mean,
Mardu Woe Reaper's one, right? That just exiles just one card, right?
Woe Reaper, yeah. The random Savannah Lions are probably not going to go into any of those decks.
Yeah.
But it definitely is good at searching up
Stepmom and
No Hierarch.
Yeah. Champion Parish if you really care about that.
Champion the Parish. I mean, this is a human.
Oh yeah, I think this card can easily go in humans, right? Like that. I'm thinking DNT because I like that better.
It's going to be in humans, yeah.
I was kind of categorizing it all together, right? But
it's a guaranteed hit with Militia Bugler, and it's bigger than Militia Bugler,
right.
And has another effect.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's better than Militia Bugler in humans generally.
Yeah.
And
so one of the things I was going to ask you too is just there's already, before this set came out, was starting to get popular. Like it's kind of like a hybrid, like it's a blue-white hybrid, like it's a humans deck, but it's really more like a Death and Taxes deck, right? It's playing just the like taxing creatures, right? But just Thalias and Meddling Mages and what's the other blue-white? The new one that came out in a set that's like not very good, but it does something.
Deputy Ascension?
No, it's a legendary creature.
Lavinia?
Yeah. I don't know. I saw it. It looks bad, but basically just a blue-white DNT deck, but because they're all humans, they're playing Thalia's Lieutenant and Champion of the Parish and stuff. So it's like kind of a hybrid, like aggro humans taxes build, but that's the kind of thing that like...
I guess Lavinia is good against Storm and Tron.
Right. I think that was the idea. But yeah, I don't know if it's good, but that was my question to you, right? Is like, do having more options like Stepmom and Ranger Captain and stuff like make it to like maybe you don't need all the colors in humans and like maybe you're better off playing blue-white or something like that and making it like an aggro, a more aggressive version of it. And then like maybe you're playing Ranger Captain like and Bugler. I don't know.
I think those are too many slots of cards that don't actually win you the game.
Sure.
That like go and find a card that can win you the game.
Right,
but,
right.
Like I think having Ranger Captain as a 2 of in your deck is going to be good because you can play one burned and force tender in your sideboard and be super happy about that because you're
Right.
Find it.
Sure.
And yeah, I think BFT is a big reason to play Ranger Captain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, Giver of Runes. And humans, you're just going to want to get another Champ of the Parish or a Noble Hierarch or whatever. But I don't like trying to make humans a non-5 color deck. I don't think it makes a ton of sense because it's just really easy to play it as a 5 color deck right now, like, with the 12 gold lands and like more than 12, I guess, if you want. But yeah, Mantis Rider's too good to just not.
Yeah, Mantis Rider's obscene, so that's true.
Yeah, it's too many times I've just been like, oh, to turn 2 Mantis Rider off of a Noble Hierarch.
Right. That's cool. Yeah.
Don't think I can win anymore.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, right. I just don't think they'd ever want to like leave that behind.
Sure. But I've seen the deck. I played against it online and I've seen lists of it. That's why I was asking. Like I was, wasn't sure where that was coming from. So
yeah, people do play blue-white Flicker, it's called, a lot of the time. Not so much taxes. It does have Thalia in it a lot of the time too.
Yeah.
But it's generally playing Spell Stutter Sprite these days, which I think is actually
weird.
Really good.
Yeah.
Somebody who's like on the top of the leaderboards right now for Modern, FTZZZ or something like that, was playing Blue-White Flicker for a while and had a bunch of trophies with it. And I think it's powerful. I mean, you get to play Venser, which is just a fun card.
Sure.
You just bounce any spell or permanent.
Sure.
And blink it with Displacer. And it was playing Displacer and Deputy Detention, Reflector Mage, Meddling Mage. Now you get to play the new 2-mana 2/2 blue-white creature, which I'm sure is going to be good in that deck.
The Shapeshifter.
And yeah, it also is a fairy.
Yeah, so, exactly. I was just thinking that card is. We'll get to that one. But yeah, that card's busted.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're on to some less good white cards now. Recruit the Worthy. Yeah. People have asked in tokens. Is so painfully slow. It's just not good.
That's basically slow.
Yeah. No, Reprobation is not a thing. I think we got a lot of limited cards. Rock's Veteran, yeah. Segovian Angel. I've just never seen a 1-mana angel. So
yeah, 1-mana angel is interesting.
That's all I got though. Like I don't think the card's good enough, but
it's not good. But it does have some stats for 1 mana that are fairly powerful.
Yeah,
you can pump it.
So it's cool. It's a creature type you don't see at 1 mana. It's usually like 4 and up, and there's 1/2 drop angel I can think of. They've made some 3s lately, but yeah, it's like dragon, right? Like you don't see 1 mana dragons. So but we do have that 1 mana shapeshifter we were talking about before we started recording. So now you got 1 mana whenever you want if you really need it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Then there's a fairly big one of the first cards that was spoiled.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one is one that also, like, again, like we were talking, there's a lot of cards that like kind of like call out to tokens but are just not good enough. This one's like you have to pay attention to, right? Like this one, I think all in all, like we've obviously like I've had a couple months to like think about it and talk about it, mull it over, and overall I don't know that it like does more for the deck that things like Sorin don't just like provide a different value to it. But it's a really strong planeswalker, right? Like this is what this set was supposed to be, which is like these are cards that are super strong but fair and modern, and we could never put in standard, right? Like I think this is it. So it's cool that way, right? Like 4 mana 4/4 4 mana Sarah Angel, right? That like leaves behind a pretty strong planeswalker is sweet. And if you're playing something like tokens where like pretty much all your creatures are flying anyway, like you're just pumping your team for a turn, which is cool. But she's also going up to 6, which is huge, right? So like turn 4, pump your team. If you can just keep her alive, then you get an emblem worship. Like there's just so much going on here. Like pumping your team, making tokens, making a worship. Like there's way too much not to test. Like I'm just gonna be running one of her in every tokens deck I play for the next few months until I figure out she's good enough, right? The problem is like I usually like to test cards like Battle Screech. Like I'm just gonna run 4 Battle Screech to see how it goes. Like you can't run a ton of her because it's such a unique thing. So it's gonna take a lot of testing to figure out. But like I'm just gonna play one of her and just see what happens because like she does worship that's also going towards your proactive game plan. Like I've never played worship in a tokens deck because it's just a dead card. But like a worship that's also like a clock, if you need a clock, is really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a main deckable worship, which I think there's been some want for in modern. A lot of decks that are like tier 1.5 ish have played worship in their sideboards, and it's a powerful card against the human spirits, Hollow One, any of those types of decks. Like just being able to play this card that says like, all right, like you need to destroy my worship, otherwise like you can't win.
Right. Or in this case they can't destroy it, right? They have to destroy your creatures.
This one, they can't destroy the worship. So you play it on turn 4, maybe turn 3 if you're playing Noble Hierarch or something, and you +2, maybe pump 1 creature for 1 turn.
Yeah.
Maybe in tokens though, you pump like 3 creatures or whatever, and then -6 immediately, and good luck, red deck.
Right. Yeah, or even like Dredge, right? Like their Conflagrates can't, like if you've got any number of creatures out, like the Conflagrates can't kill all of your creatures. It would be hard.
They generally can get up to like 8 or 9 cards pretty easily. But yeah, I actually didn't bring in, especially with the new Creeping Chill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like never brought in worship against Dredge, but it is good against most creature decks.
Right, but this because this is damage, right? So they can, if you're at 2, they can Creeping Chill, flip Creeping Chill, and you lose.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
That's how worship works, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure it's a loss of life.
Yeah. It's loss of life, not damage. Yeah, because I've killed people with Collective Brutality when they're at 1 or 2 and they have a worship out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there are ways around it. Vapor Snag does it out of Merfolk. Where that cool Merfolk just can't beat this card.
Sure.
And then they're like, Vapor Snag. I was like, really? So there are ways out of it.
Yeah,
but in general, it's hard for your spirits, humans, Merfolk. Like any tribe is going to have a tough time with the worship. Yeah, actually,
humans is probably the best, right? Because like they can remove a creature or so with Reflector Mages, but they can't remove all of them. So.
Oh yeah, humans has a really hard time killing all of your creatures.
Yeah.
Unless they draw their Izzet Staticaster.
Yeah. Right. So does spirits, I think, too, right? So, that's good enough, right?
Knight of Autumn out of their sideboard and stuff, spirits, but you can like stop that from being a thing. I know.
Yeah. Well, and not against this, right? Because they can't Knight of Autumn your emblem. Right. So.
Yeah, exactly. But this one, they can't interact with it.
Yeah.
It's just they have to kill all your creatures, which they generally can't do.
Right.
So at some point, it probably ends up being something where you have to just mill them out. But when you're playing a card like this, you should have some way in your deck to make sure that they draw more cards than you do, which one way to do it is Thought-Knot Seer and Eldrazi Displacer.
Sure.
If you just keep blinking Thought-Knot Seer, you can make them draw more cards.
Does Displacer only hit creatures?
Yeah.
Flicker Wisp can hit anything, right?
Right.
So like you could Sarah minus make a 4/4, flicker her, make another 4/4. Like you can flicker
She comes back
planeswalkers.
at the end of the turn.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, she goes down to 1, then you can, like, the next turn do it again, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's slow, but it's like a different Blade Splicer kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that would be reasonable, I guess, if you're...
I'm pulling. I don't think this is good at Death and Taxes. I'm just trying to see if there's anything you could do spicy with it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that it sees play in Death and Taxes. It's a powerful effect. 4 mana for 4/4 flying vigilance is not bad.
Right.
And then it leaves a thing that pumps you 4/4 into a 5/5.
Yeah.
Eventually threatens to do a thing that's hard to interact with. So, like, I don't know. It's powerful. Is it probably going to see more playing Commander than anywhere else? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. We got no Shelter. You think that ever has a home, or like it costs one? It costs 1 more than Apostle's Blessing, but it draws you a card. But no. Okay. Talk to me about Sisay. I got nothing, so I don't.
That's definitely a Commander card.
Okay. I'm glad. I thought I was missing something. I just can't see it. So cool.
Yes, definitely a Commander
All
card.
right. Sounds good to me. Soul Strike, no. Splicer skill, I don't think so, right? Like,
No.
4 is too much for like blue white to like splice onto their Serum Visions and Ops and stuff. Like, it's just they've got much better things going on. They don't have to do this.
Yeah, that's definitely limited.
Yeah.
Limited card. No.
String Address, Trustworthy Scout, no. Here we got 2 in a row here. So Valiant Changeling, you brought up a good point before we started recording that I think works. Well, I'm curious to hear the rules on that, but
I'm pretty sure it does. I didn't look it up on any official rules site or anything, but on the discussion on one of the Mythic spoiler pages, people seem to think that it works. You just have any other changeling in play. So on turn 1, you play the 1 mana 1/1 changeling for colorless, and then on turn 2, you play Valiant Changeling.
Yeah.
3/3 double strike, which is kind of powerful.
Yeah, it's busted.
Not like busted, but it's very good.
Right.
On turn 2 to have a 3/3 double strike.
Right.
And then if you can abuse that in another way, like Allosaurus Rider into Griselbrand,
Right.
you could have Griselbrand on turn 3. I don't know if you'd want to go that route since this is a white creature and you'd have to have double white on turn 2. I don't know.
And then double green for Eldritch Evolution on turn 3 or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, you can
and have cast exactly that shapeshifter on turn 1, right? Because there's not another shapeshifter. So unless you like activate your Mutavault, like that's a thing, right?
So
like,
but that costs 2.
yeah, it's slower, right? But like Mutavault's like a card you might actually want to play in a modern deck, whereas like I don't know if that 1/1 changeling is, but maybe.
Right.
So
yeah, it's very unlikely that this is good, but
yeah,
it's something to think about with Eldritch Evolution, Neoform, that kind of thing.
right.
Because of mana, you can cast it on turn 2
Mm-hmm.
pretty easily. I mean, maybe not super easily.
Yeah.
Probably not seeing anything.
Yeah. But the next one might be
Yeah.
Vesperlark. I mean, you're the Blink Master, right? What do you?
Yeah. It's power 1 or less, which is
So you can get Stepmom, right? Like you can still get your Birch and Forge Tenders that you sacrificed already. You can get Hierarch if you care to.
Yeah.
You know, it's just value, right? Like there's not a lot of busted stuff you could do, except for I don't know if you listen to Sam Black, Mike Sigrist, and Paulo Vidor have a podcast together.
Yeah.
Sam Black was brought up with this card. It's like Gigantomancer or something like that. It's an 8 mana 1/1 that you pay one. I think you pay 1 mana and you turn any of your creatures into a 7/7 till end of turn. So like basically the joke is like it's like the opposite of the Phyrexian Dreadnought or whatever the 1 mana 12/12 is. It's like it's an 8 mana 1/1. So like this has 1 in power, so you can get it back from the battlefield even though it's an 8-drop, and it just does something busted. So
turn 1 Faithless Looting, turn 2.
I'm gonna look this up.
Get a 1/1 that can be big. Seems okay.
Here we go. I pulled it up on my screen. You can't see it, but yeah, it's an 8 mana 1/1. It has an activated ability. Doesn't need a tap, so it can just do this. Did you look it up?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this card, but target creature you control becomes a 7/7 until end of turn. So like, I don't know.
That's a powerful effect.
Yeah.
I could also see it being good with another card that we're going to talk about later that I'm sure Sam Black is excited about. Carrion Feeder.
Yes, I want to talk about that card too. So
yeah, I think that one could be legit, and I think Esper Lark would work very well with Carrion Feeder.
That's true. So we'll see but there's
Martyr of Sands.
Dex. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think it's
sacrifice that, get it back. Yeah, that's a deck that we probably haven't talked about enough of this. The wall doesn't do anything. Winds of Abandon. This is one that I thought you might be interested in because you've played a lot of Deck and Stone.
Yeah, Deck and Stone is pretty good analog for this. Deck and Stone, the amount of times you get 2 things is like higher than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times it just like deals with a Thought Knot Seer and draws you a card, and you're like, I don't care, you get a card out of the thing. But,
right.
It's really good. The fact that this is like another path also gives them a land. It's kind of annoying, but if you're already playing 4 paths,
if you're playing pass and Ghost Quarters, right? Like,
and potentially Field of Ruin, you might already have taxed them out of their lands, so it might be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the fact that if you get to 6 mana, you get to get rid of all their creatures is cool against humans, spirits, especially spirits because they have hexproof a lot of the time. When their whole team is hexproof and you're sitting there with these paths, and you're like, well, I can't ever kill any of those things.
Interesting. Yeah, that's right. It does get around the hexproof. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you can pay 6 and just kill all the things is pretty nice.
Dude, Plague Wind's a card, you know? Like, a lot of cards, like, people talk about, like, you get to Plague Wind your opponent and all this stuff, but, like, actual Plague Wind is a 9 mana card, right? Like, that effect is so powerful.
It's a very powerful effect.
So this is just, I hadn't really thought about it as, like, this is just a 6 mana Plague Wind with upside because you can cast it for 2 if you want to, right?
Yeah, no, it's a very...
Because, like, them getting tons of lands out in the battlefield, like, what's the difference between them getting, like, 2 lands versus 6 basic lands out, right? Like, probably not much.
Usually not, yeah. I mean, if you're doing this against Scape Shift or something, yeah, you're going to lose.
Right.
But you're probably...
But then if you're playing against Scape Shift, you just cast it for 2 and get their Titan out of the way, and then they have no other creatures anyway, so...
Yeah, and then they deal 3 to you with the land that they get, and the next turn they play a fetch land.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, yeah, no, I mean, that's the dangerous thing about Titan Shift and playing any card that says, like, they can go get a land.
Yeah.
You basically never want to play any of those cards against them.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that this is Plague Wind and also Deck and Stone means it's pretty good and probably will see a lot of play in a lot of white sideboards. I don't know if it'll be in any main deck, but like
no,
up to 2 Deck and Stones in or not main deck, sideboarded up to 2 decking stones. And
Do you play any Wrath of Gods in your like Taxes decks?
Generally not. Sometimes. Lately, it's just been Settle.
Sure.
I usually play like 1 Settle on the sideboard.
Right. So this is
right now.
This can kind of so that's
be a better Settle. This might take that spot.
Right. That's the question, right? Is exactly that. Right? I've done the same. Like I definitely run some Wraths, and especially with tokens, like you don't care as much because you just like set your turn up so like they have more creatures than you, and you just get to flashback your souls, or you already have a Bitter Blossom out. So like it's very different in my deck. But if you get to, it's 6 mana, but like it's more effective than Settle, right? Like especially against spirits where they're only attacking with like 2 or 3 creatures at a time, and they're like purposely leaving their like hierarchs and their lords back, whatever, the captain, Droxall captain's back.
Yeah, it can be difficult against humans and spirits because they both play noble hierarchs and have like big flyers, and they're just going to attack you with one thing.
Right.
A lot of the time, and
gets around Selfless Spirit.
Yeah, you're like, all right, settle your Mantis Rider, and they're like, cool. All right, next turn I'll attack with my 4/4 Thalia's Lieutenant. That becomes a 6/6 with my 2 no wires. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it still sucks. Yeah. But with this Winds of Abandon, I mean, a lot of the time, especially with Black-White Taxes, which is what I'm evaluating most of the stuff for, is because that's my still my number 1 Taxes deck. I think that's still like the best version of Taxes if you're just going into a random tournament. I would maybe be more interested in Winds of Abandon. That deck plays 23 lands, and a lot of the time you are going to be using your Ghost Quarters. But against the decks where you want this card, you're less likely to be using your Ghost Quarters in the early game, and this is definitely not going to be in your main deck. It's going to come out of the sideboard. And in the matchups where you want this card, you also don't generally want Thalia.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps there with the interplay between those two. So it's definitely worth trying out. I don't know if 6 mana is just too many, but Settle has been really good, and I've been really happy to have Settle in my sideboard. Yeah,
me too. No, I think you sold me. I think I'm going to try this out. I'm curious. It is kind of tough that this comes at the same time as the Horizon lands. So because now you're where usually you get to 5 mana, and you're like, all right, well, I don't need 5. I'm just going to pitch a land, draw a card. But if you are running one of these, you're like, oh, maybe I need to keep my 6 mana. So.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is too, if you don't get to 6, but you crack your Horizon land and you find one of these, it's still a useful card.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So that's kind of nice. And if it's in your hand to begin with, you're not going to crack the Horizon land. You just
right. Yep.
Wait for the 6 mana. So yeah, I think definitely worth trying out.
Yeah, I'm sold. What about Wing Shards?
Wing Shards is interesting. It's cool that they printed some Storm cards in the set. Obviously pretty powerful against Phoenix.
Sure.
They're attacking with a flipped thing in the ice and 2 Phoenixes, and you're like, well, they're all sacked.
Yeah.
Even though they're going to get the Phoenixes back at some point, maybe you play a Spellbomb or a Relic the next turn, or some Peace or whatever.
But are you better off just not playing Settle?
Generally, Settle is going to be better.
Yeah. Especially against the Phoenixes.
I could see this in sideboards.
3 is a lot less than 4, but it's not such a big difference, right?
Yeah.
So.
And against humans, is they might have cast this thing before attacking, but probably not.
Yeah, no. Your use is you path or push one of their creatures, right? And then you, or maybe you even path or push a creature that's not attacking, right? If they only attacked with 2, and then you cast Wing Shards and you get 2 creatures out of that. So you use 2 removal spells, you got 3 creatures out of it. But then you spent 4 mana, and like, wouldn't you just have rather had Settle Wreckage?
Yeah, so Winds of Abandon.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think Wing Shards is going to see much play.
Yeah.
It's possible that it's better than it looks, but yeah, 3 mana. Yeah, 3 mana, bad Settle.
Yeah. It's too close when Settle's around. Like, I get that like they don't get the lands and all, but like you're also exiling with Settle, so.
There's also a case to be made if that other Daybreak Coronet is very good and makes a big push for Boggles, whatever. Then this card gets better, obviously.
Yeah, but Boggles tends to like play Leyline of Sanctity, and like this targets a player.
Right.
So.
But still, I think you're bringing this in against Boggles.
Right. Yeah.
You can maybe Flicker Wisp their Leyline.
Yeah, but you still like Settled as the same thing.
Or gift to the elephant.
That's true.
Generous gift.
Right. So.
Generous gift, Wing Shard. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see a lot of play.
No,
I think
so.
Settles, generally just better.
I think there's a little bit better chance as the decoy, but maybe not much of a better chance as Zalfir and decoy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think we're going to get through all this tonight, but I think we can keep going a little bit longer. What do you think?
Yeah, I can maybe hit some of the black cards.
You want to go straight to black? Do you want to do blue? Or we can also, you know what? Like, it's been a while. Like, white was going to be the longest. I'm down to, we can just do a white video and then we can maybe another night.
Maybe we'll just stop it at white.
Sure.
But we could do like maybe the gold white cards real quick.
Sure, actually.
Since those count as white cards, I guess.
You want to do just the ones that have white in them? That works for me.
Not that many gold cards, I guess.
No.
But we can skip the ones that, I guess the ones that we're not going to play.
Well, and a lot of them are not good. Let's just do all the gold and that way we keep it interesting. Cool. So like Tree Folk, the Abominable Tree Folk, that's just, I don't think that's even modern playable.
No.
Right. Cloud Shredder Sliver, right? Like this is one that potentially makes slivers better, right? Like Flying in Haste is very real.
Yeah, Flying in Haste plus the mana weft sliver that lets you tap the slivers for mana. And then you can collect a company and get some more slivers, and they all have haste and flying, and just keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessary, but it's definitely something they're going to try.
Yeah, right. This is probably the best one, and it's something that, like, you know, it'll get close, other than the new Lord, but we'll see.
Yeah. Then there's a new Coco.
Yeah, that's right. It is still Coco. I'm not going to be playing this card. Also, it just looks bad, right? Like
it's only sorceries.
It's only sorcerers, right? Like you'd think. I don't know. I feel like if they wanted to make it, and maybe this would have been too good, but like either make it an instant that only gets sorceries, or make it a sorcery that can get instant and sorceries, and like. Either of those things would have made it potentially playable, but I don't think this sees play.
Like I could see it getting 2 pieces of the puzzle and drawing 4 cards, or
right. But I think you'd just rather have pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, at that point you'd rather just pay 3 and just get 2 good cards.
Because that was like, if you find 2 pieces of the puzzle, like now you're casting 10 mana. Now it's 10 mana to draw 4 cards. Like,
well, you have to pay the cost.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. You're not drawing the cards. You're just getting there. Yeah.
No, you can get them for free.
Yeah.
So,
I guess so.
It's powerful if you hit 2 pieces of the puzzle, but like, then I don't know. Maybe 1 piece of the puzzle and a grape shot. But for 4 mana, you'd rather just cast gifts and get
Right. Eldamri's Call.
It's cool. I like that this card's in Modern now.
It's an instant, right? And like. It can search for non-green creatures.
Can go get Ugin's Conjurant, which can wipe somebody's lands.
With the spirit, it's true.
Sure.
It's true.
Kind of cool. Maybe that's a deck.
It is a deck. It's just not a good deck, and now it's just a little bit better. Yeah,
I think it's cool. I think it's going to have some applications. It's in the colors that it would want to be for that effect.
It just gets your Vizier or Devoted Druid, right? Like that's pretty much it, right? And it's like for 2 mana, it's not That's not a ton if you're just
Yeah,
going to
I
win the
think
game right after.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it probably sees a decent amount of play in the new pod-ish decks.
Right. Yeah, I think so. All
Like
right.
your Vanifar or whatever.
Yeah. You ready for the most tilting card for me? I don't know if this one or the White Force is more tilting. They're both close. I think this one pissed me off more than any other card in this set. This card is just like, you just see like a one black white anthem, right? That has like other text on it. You're like, whatever this card is, it's going to go perfect into tokens, right? And it just so does not go into my deck.
You're playing what, like Raise the Alarm?
I'm not playing Raise the Alarm, but like either way, you're playing Bitter Blossom and Lingering Souls, right? Like that's the thing. Like even if like you're gonna name Spirit if you have Lingering Souls and like Spectral Processions or whatever, right? But it's like those are all spirits. But it's still like, we just talked about this with the other Force, right? Like it's just another anthem that like doesn't do much, right? Like sacrifice a creature to make one of the other creatures indestructible doesn't do much in a go wide deck, right? Like your creatures are all the same, right? Like this goes better in like a humans deck. Like,
and even there,
I'm not saying it's good, right? Or like a spirits deck, right? Like it gives you like, you can let you give indestructible to like your other lord and like all that, but it's still not good, right? Like if this was sack a creature of the chosen type, all creatures of the type get indestructible, right? And like now you're actually like, you're getting Selfish Spirits. Like that's a card I'd consider playing, right? Because like
it protects you against sweepers a little bit,
right? And like there's still something, right? Because it's only sack a creature of that type to protect other creatures of that type. Like that's kind of cool that way. But yeah, it's just like, it just doesn't go. It's like they were trying to like make tokens cards and they just like have never seen how that deck is actually built. It's just like,
yeah, I mean, I guess you could make it all spirits, but
yeah,
then now you have Battle Screech and like,
which are birds, right? So like, yeah. So anyway, it was just so tilting because it like, you see the mana cost and like I just caught that it was an anthem and I got super excited and they're like, no, this card just doesn't do anything.
yeah. Pretty bad.
What do you think of ninjutsu? We're gonna get to a lot of these as we go back to blue and black tomorrow, but like
double Thief of Sanity.
Yeah, this is the best one, right? Like I don't remember all of them, but like this one's definitely the best one. But like, do you think there's a place for like ninjutsu decks in modern?
I mean, Ninja Deep Hours. Is that the one that's like one in a blue, and if it hits them, it draws a card?
It sounds right.
That's how I play in like the mono blue Delver decks with like Disrupting Shoal, and those decks were like fairly playable. So I could see something being, I don't know about 4 mana to like exile 2 cards. It's a very like mid-rangey effect.
Yeah, like you're dealing 5, right? Like it's a lot.
It's a lot of damage.
And then you get to like draw 2 cards with selection.
Very strong.
These are all like blue and black, I think, for the most part. Like there are like quote fairies decks, which were really just like blue-black mid-range control decks that people have played over the past couple years that are like, they're all like instant speed, like Vendilion Click, Snapcaster Mage, Cryptic Command decks, Spell Stutter Strides, and like they play Bitter Blossom, which is why they're a fairy deck, but like
I could see this in the sideboard of those decks when you're playing against Jund or something.
Yeah,
all right, I'll attack you with my Bitter Blossom token. They're like, no blocks, and you're like,
right, gotcha.
I'm gonna get your Lily and your Fatal Push.
Yeah,
I could see that being fairly strong. I don't know if it'll be in any main decks. I'm pretty sure it won't be in any main decks.
I don't know that. I don't know that it's good enough
for sideboards too.
I don't know that's good enough, but that's the only deck I can think of, and like I don't know that you're gonna like make a ninjutsu deck like in modern, but
Yeah, I mean, any deck that can cast this might be interested.
sure,
Um,
sure,
just because it's powerful against mid-range decks, but
right,
mid-range and control, you'd love to draw those two cards and like, steal your control player's Jace or whatever.
yeah. But if you're playing blue black, like you don't need more ways to like win mid range matchups. Like you can probably grind out pretty good.
Yeah, I think generally you're set up in those matchups.
Yeah. New Sliver Queen.
I mean, it's probably fun.
Cards busted. Yeah. No, it's like it's a strong card, but yeah, you're not whatever. It's 5 minutes a ton. Unicorn. Just limited
combo with persist, which is cool. But
oh yeah,
2 mana and Fenza.
Oh yeah. That's what I guess what it is, right? It's just another named.
Yeah.
Any of those effect. Yeah.
And
cool.
I guess might have other applications, but yeah, mostly for limited, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just a if you want more versions of that, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Hogak, I mean, just graveyard card. I don't know. It's not something I'm going to be doing.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that you can't spend mana to cast it.
Right.
It's got Convoke and Delve.
Convoke and Delve is pretty sweet.
It's kind of cool. Like I'm happy about the design of this card. I will never cast this card. Well, I don't want to say that.
It gives Delve. It gives Delve or Dredge 8/8 trample, which like sometimes like if you're something like humans and you just have like bigger blockers than they do, or just Tarmogoyfs and stuff, like you can kind of get them. So like it gives them something else to do, but having to like delve out is tough for them.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I guess they always have like 30, 40 cards in their library, so it doesn't matter, or in their graveyard, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Dredge could probably play one and it'd probably be fine because you just tap a couple blood gas and cast this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see Dredge playing it.
Yeah. Cool.
Maybe like a carrion feeder deck can maybe play this.
That's true.
Depends on how many Faithless Lootings and Cathartic Reunions you're playing.
Right. Or like Bridge from Below type stuff. Like the Vengevine decks, like the Bridgevine decks, maybe they want to play this.
Yeah, I could see maybe. Like the fact that it's black-green means it's a little harder because a lot of their creatures are red or colorless.
True.
Right now, but I mean it's a powerful card. I think you could see play.
Yeah.
Probably a 1/0 in Dredge to start it. Just to see if it works.
Start out.
8/8 trample is a lot.
Yeah, it's big. Ice Fang Quaddle.
Love this card.
Yeah. It's definitely not a card I'm ever going to play, but
it's really cool. The fact that it has Slash.
Sweet.
Fun, and it's a little harder to give Death Touch than Baleful Strix.
A lot harder than just having it.
Yeah, I mean you just need 3 other. You need 3 lands.
You need the lands and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'm cool with it. I think it's a cool card, and if like these decks are real, I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if it's good enough just because, I'm thinking about it like a 2-color deck. Even if you're just playing 2 colors, which I think in general you're going to want a 3rd color when you're playing blue-green.
Right.
But, yeah, you're definitely going to play that prismatic, whatever, go get your snow-covered land.
Right. That, the fetch land. Yeah.
As many basic snow covers as you can.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible that it's playable and that it's good.
Right.
It's definitely playable. I just don't know if it's like actually good.
Yeah.
Until I see like how a deck is constructed, because you're gonna want more than like 15 snow lands, right? Like.
Yeah, like you might just have other snow permanents, right? Like there's that 1 mana artifact that it's just no permanent that draws a card when it comes into play, and there's stuff like that. But I don't know. I just think there's just not enough payoffs yet to like make all that stuff work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're playing Icevein Coat Bomb Tree Folk.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but if you can get this Death Touch like by turn 4,
yeah,
most of the time, I think it's a good card.
Yeah.
If you can't give it Death Touch by turn 4 or 5, most of the time it's not good.
Not gonna be good. Yeah. What's next? Another ninjutsu card. Just deals damage, draw a card. So
yeah, it's just a slightly bigger Ninja the Deep Power.
Yeah.
If you're playing blue black and you're trying to do this, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
This next card though.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
So this is the only other card that I think is like a slam playable in addition to Generous Gift. I don't know if you saw it. I made a quick little like 5-10 minute hype video on just this card. I just talked about this card for like 10 minutes and I paused. So I've talked my share, but what do you think about this card?
Yeah, the fact that you get to choose 2 things for 3 mana and instant speed, and you can also choose all 4 things if you have 6 mana. Pretty powerful. Versatility is always really good, and it's a main deckable sideboard card, basically.
Yep.
But yeah, it gives you game against Bogles, it gives you game against Phoenix, Dredge, all that stuff. It makes another spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Gains you some life against red. Like it does. It fills a lot of slots in your sideboard for 1 card.
Mm-hmm.
Costs 3 mana, which is not great in a lot of the matchups where you're gonna want it. 3 mana for it doesn't target, which is actually really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Bogles.
Yep. Yeah.
So
big time.
that's cool. Like, oh, nice ley line, but you're still sacking your giant thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. They haven't actually printed much of that yet. Each opponent.
Yeah, they
versatility is very good. It's gonna be in my sideboard for sure.
Yeah, I think I think we have similar views on this, right? I think I like versatility. I value versatility, and I think the fact that it lets you do a lot of different things for 1 card is great. I'm probably gonna main deck this, and I think this is 1 card that, like, even though I don't know that it was like had tokens in mind, maybe it did, but the reason I think it's good is like my point of this is like most of the time you probably only want one of these modes are really relevant, right? Like very few decks are both of these modes relevant. Like against Phoenix, you'll pick the first 2 and it's great, right? They sack a creature and you exile their graveyard and that's cool. But like the fact that you get a token out of it when I'm a deck that's playing Anthems and is like built to take advantage of flying spirit tokens, it's just like an instant speed creature that I would want anyway, that also exiles their graveyard, right? Or that also makes them sacrifice a creature. So I think it's main deckable for that reason, because like there's very few decks where like you don't want one of these modes, and then like you can always fall back on make a spirit token. If your deck doesn't do much with a 1/1, then it's like kind of tough. Then it's definitely more of a sideboard card. So yeah, I think just the versatility aspect is good, and people are down on it, and I think it's just because it's like it's such a terribly fair card, and a lot of people are down on like any fairness in Modern, and they just think it's not good enough, and I don't disagree. But
very fair, yeah.
But versatility is huge. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I think they maybe could have pushed it a little further.
Totally.
And it still wouldn't have been busted or anything, but like they probably wanted to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's
something playable.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Kess, you a Grixis guy?
Kess is cool.
Yeah.
and I'm never gonna cast it. I don't
Yeah.
think, but
So this is where I deviate a little bit because I'm a big Grixis fan. Like I've played some Grixis mid range decks like Corey Burkhart style, like
yeah,
Grixis mid range. I think it's a sweet deck.
yeah,
If like, and again, it's also like it's a deck I don't mind playing against either. Like I feel like there's a lot of like the games are pretty cool if you're playing mid range decks, right? There's a lot of back and forth. Like they don't like automatically beat you. And I think it's actually a pretty even matchup. So I think this card's cool. It'd be cool if this card was good. Cause like all in all, it's just a creature you can kill, right? So like it's hard for it to be that busted. Like the effect is super powerful. But like, you know, they can always just kill it. So I think it's a fair card to put into modern. I'm glad they did. So
yeah. I agree. There are a lot of cards like this in modern that are just like, oh yeah, if they untap with that, like
yeah, if you untap with your 4-drop, then you're going to win, right? And I think it's just, yeah, agree. It's just another one of those. So it's never going to be busted, but it's just like,
yeah,
you know, the more options of those you have, like that's what makes Magic interesting, right? Is like everyone gets to play like their exact style of finisher, and that's cool.
yeah, like Hero Blade Hold, or in some cases, what's his name? Kalidas.
Kalidas is,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, cards like that. Like you just play it, and it's like, cool. I untapped. Well, here I'm gonna kill your thing, get
Right.
these zombies. And,
right, yeah,
like good game.
right,
But yeah, cast same idea. Like,
yeah,
oh, cool. I'm gonna cast my Serum Visions again.
Yeah.
On your turn.
Yeah.
Or each of your turns.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
like it's a flying 3/4, decent stats, and
Yeah,
does things every turn.
I think it's cool.
I think it's gonna be pretty fun.
Sliver, just another one like this. ETBs is interesting, but you know, maybe this one helps too because they all like in an ETB deal damage is kind of interesting. But I just, you know, we've talked about slivers. I don't know if they need it. I don't know if that's what they need.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Are you gonna play Lightning Skelemental?
Ball lightning.
Yeah, ball lightning. This card's sweet. I don't know how good it is. It's powerful.
It's pretty awesome. It might just be the truth, but
like
I don't know. It's like there are enough first striking creatures in modern right now.
yeah, that's true.
Mostly
That's true.
Dahlia.
Yeah.
That's like make me not want to play this card,
Yeah.
but shit, it's for what it does at
Mhm.
that rate. 6/1 trample with lightning attached to it.
Yeah.
Or mind rot.
I
Pretty
mean,
strong.
this is a card I would have played like 12 of when I was 13, and I had like just started learning to play like Magic, right? Like I was, it was good, but it might be a thing like Bloodbraid into this is like just freaking lights out. So I don't know. You just have to have the right like deck for it. And then we'll get to this when we get to Black tomorrow. But like we have, is it Unearth? What's the right? Like this brings this back too, right? Like if there's some like grindy value Unearthed like black red deck, like that's completely up my alley. Probably even more so than like black white. I just like those decks just haven't been good enough. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I also have a Aristocrats black red deck built that's just not good enough.
Right.
So it has like Thoughtseizes and Grave Crawlers and
yeah. Well, then we're gonna have fun talking about Black tomorrow because like I love those kinds of decks and like we got some tools. I don't know if it's enough to push it, but there's tools.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we?
Might be a thing.
That's what I'm thinking. Like that was my question for you because we're gonna get to goblins too. They got a lot of cool stuff. And people already play goblins, right? Like
yeah, some people play goblins. Generally, it's just a burn deck, right?
Right. But they got some new toys and
just a burn deck. But now you add black to your burn deck and play munitions expert too. I mean, it seems fine. You definitely don't want to cast it on turn 2, but like anytime after turn 2, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe really good.
Yeah, I mean, it like Planeswalkers is real. Like Blue White's playing tons of Planeswalkers now, so like,
Yeah.
being able to do that is pretty sweet. Also, like, look at the background of this card. Like, do you see that they're just like chucking random stuff? Like, there's a shark that's being clearly thrown with a spear on top of its head.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Whatever, it's goofy. Yeah, I think this card's strong. Like, flash on this is like this big time.
Yeah, it's cool that it has flash. And yeah, I could see an either Vile Goblins deck maybe doing something.
Yeah, but you probably want it in the sideboard because it's only creatures, right? Like, you can't hit your opponent with it.
Right. Yeah, you maybe not main decking more than one.
Right,
of these,
right.
But you probably main decking one modern.
Right. So
That
we'll see.
tutors.
It's true.
So you probably want at least one.
Yeah.
Main deck. Yeah.
Nature's Chant. This is I don't know why this is in here. Just for limited, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, has this already been printed?
No, but you have Disenchant and you have Nature's Claim, which are like, right, like
Naturalize, yeah.
Or Naturalize.
Not better than Naturalize and Disenchant because it's.
you get to choose.
overpowered.
Yeah. So
it's kind of cool, but
yeah,
yeah.
didn't change much.
You're not buying it.
Yeah. Read the Past. These cards at random from your graveyard to your hand. I don't think people are playing this, right? Like, so we'll get to this, but like one of the decks that people are talking about that might be a thing after this set is like some kind of aggro loam deck again, in red green, and like maybe random cards is not so bad when like your graveyard is full of lands and like lightning bolts, and like you can make use of the lands. But
yeah, I'm just not sure if that deck has legs without punishing fire.
sure, yeah. Well, and I don't think like a 6-mana draw 4 is like necessarily what you need in that deck either. So
No, absolutely not. I don't think Reap the Past is gonna do a thing.
yeah.
But there are some tools for that deck. Brennan 6 being one of them, which is a little bit further.
Totally.
down.
Well, I guess it's down. It's coming here up, but like that card's real. That card we'll get to that. Rotwide Pack's just a limited card.
Yeah.
Ruination Rider. Any cards in your graveyard? Here's a card for that deck, right?
Yeah, potentially in their sideboard or something.
It's any target, so you could dome your opponent for like 7, right? When it comes into play.
Any target, yeah, that's true.
So kill a creature, kill a planeswalker. Like, yeah, maybe it's a sideboard card, but like it's 2 mana.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I could see it being like one of in those days.
yeah. Soul Herder. I don't even know this card. Exile from the battlefield. No target creature. So this is just like a flicker every turn?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
You were just talking about a blue-white flicker deck, right?
Yeah. It's a powerful effect. It's really weak stats. But I mean, it looks like a win more card, but
Sure.
it's
That's true.
maybe fine. If you're playing ephemerate,
Yeah.
then this might be a card you're interested in playing as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, you exile. Yeah, I mean, like you're just blinking your whatever, like Thousand Attendants if you want to. Your Blade Splicers, your whatever, right? Like it's slow, but it's doing things. So
It's
kind of interesting.
In the mid-rangey humans matchup, this card could be good.
Mm-hmm. So interesting.
If somebody like breathes on it real hard.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Thundering Djinn, sweet limited card. That's about it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, the last 2 cards.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're really good. So we've alluded to the shapeshifter a lot.
Yeah, a couple times.
This was kind of tilting too, because it's like they did a really good job of not making creatures humans lately, right? Like creatures that could be too good in that deck. And then like, here we go. He's not a human, but he is a shapeshifter, right? Like,
he is a human.
This card is like, I don't know what I'm missing, but I feel like this card is just busted, right? Like,
I think it's really good. Yeah. It's just you get to play more Thalias.
Right. Because like the cards you care about are the removal spells, right? If you're playing Merfolk, if you're playing spirits, if you're playing humans, like Merfolk needs the help. That's fine, but the other two definitely don't need the help. And like, yeah, your 2-drops are kind of glutted, but like usually if you get to play more Thalias, you're going to cut the non-Thalias for more Thalias. Like this one goes pretty high on the list.
I think Spirits just swaps Thalia out for this and doesn't look back.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Because now it's also got hexproof and everything.
Right. Well, and maybe you just maybe you run 4 of these and like a Thalia if you want more of that, right?
Yeah, maybe in your sideboard.
Or sideboard Thalias or whatever.
Yeah, they're good against Storm and stuff like that. But generally, I mean, you're just caring about your creatures not getting killed. And yeah, I mean, stopping your opponent from cantripping and like Phoenix type stuff, Thalia is very good against. But
it doesn't slow down sweepers like Thalia does.
No, it doesn't slow down sweepers.
So that's a thing, but that's about it.
But yeah, and I wonder if humans just like switches something out, like maybe even Meddling Mage for this card.
Yeah.
And just plays Thalia also.
Yeah. It's a tough sell, but maybe.
I haven't played enough humans to know.
Or maybe they just cut their variable 3-drops, like some people were playing like Buglers and Malcontents and stuff like that. Like maybe they just trim all the 3-drops. They just keep the Mantis Riders and just play more of these guys instead.
I could see that as well.
So
it's not legendary, which is nice. You get Image on this.
There's. I don't know what they were thinking. And this card, I think this card's gonna be a pain.
This card's gonna be in a lot of decks.
Yeah. So.
And I will definitely be building a blue-white Taxes.
Oh yeah. Like you're playing it too, right? Which is which is cool. So.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be good. I'm not gonna get any like shapeshifter benefits generally, but
yeah, it's just a good card.
It is a golem, which is kind of cool.
Hey, it gets first strike.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm definitely gonna play Blade Splicer in my blue-white.
Yeah.
Deck,
so sweet.
Or maybe not. I don't know. I guess that deck Belt Queller and Deputy Attention and stuff. A lot of things that I might want a Soul Herder.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe just Ephemerate.
Yeah. All right, last one. Ren and 6. This has been talked about a lot, and by people that are better at using this than I am. So I'm gonna in general defer people to articles online, but it's a 2-mana planeswalker that's good, right? I don't know much more you want.
2-mana planeswalker that you're already playing 10 to 12 fetches in your deck.
Yeah.
And if you're playing this card, you're probably playing more than that. Or at least...
Or cycling lands.
So by turn 2, you probably already have a land in your graveyard.
Yeah.
Most games.
Yeah.
You're already getting value off of it because now you're going to have that cycling land back or that fetch land back. And you're not going to miss any land drops. Lets you run potentially fewer lands.
Yeah.
But this is going to be big in the loam decks.
Yeah.
If loam decks are good. I don't know if they're going to be good, but they were close when Modern was first announced and first a format. John Bloom was a deck.
Yeah, but Punishing Fire was still in it, right? Before they banned it?
Punishing Fire was still in at the time.
Yeah.
But even after Punishing Fire got banned, it still was somewhat a deck. Countryside Crusher and try to do things.
Well, there's 2 different Seismic Assault type effects now, right? They printed that new one in Origins a couple years ago, and now there's a green one in this set that makes a bear instead of deal 2 damage, right? So like there's things to do, and I don't know. I think it's a deck that I wouldn't even know how to start building. But if there are lists out there that are like any good at all, it is a deck I'd be curious to play. Like some kind of grindy mid-range, like Gruul deck sounds intriguing to me. Like it's something I'd be willing to test out. I wouldn't even know how to start building it, so I'm gonna have to wait until people make it happen first.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it's good against any kind of combo deck. And I think once London Mulligan is kind of there, and all these new cards are in Modern, I think combo becomes pretty big. And I don't want to play a deck that's trying to like kill you on turn 7 or 8 with like a bunch of Life from Below triggers. Sure.
Yeah, it's true.
And Seismic Assault, while being able to deal with all your permanents on the board. Like, I could see it being good if everybody's playing Jund or like Tron. I could see this deck being good against Tron and Jund, or any big mana deck, because you could probably interact with their lands enough that, like,
every turn.
Yeah, so like, I could see it being good in the right metagame. If metagame's all mid-range creature decks and Tron, Loam is probably a good deck.
Right.
And if somehow Loam can beat combo decks as well, then I think it becomes a big contender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's going to be possible without crop rotation, without dark depths. Like, you just can't compete with the speed of the other decks.
Sure. All right. I think we can both underestimated how much there was to go over. Just a lot of good cards, but we'll kind of stop it here. We'll pick up where we left off and try the other colors. We'll find a time to do that. But I mean, people can find you mostly on Twitch, right? Do you stream on Twitch or Caffeine now?
Twitch for the most part. KPonce MTG.
Yep, here it is, right at the top.
I haven't been streaming a ton lately, but I'm trying to get back into it.
Well, and I'm sure you're gonna once Modern Horizons comes out.
Yeah, that's actually mostly the issue right now, is that it's like kind of a dead format, Modern.
Right.
There's no big tournament for Modern coming up, for me at least, and there is not a ton of impetus to play it when this new set that is geared fully towards Modern.
I haven't been playing much in the past month. I got some out of my system, and I've been kind of waiting for this. So, and I think I'm gonna be doing a lot of playing this summer once this comes out. So, I think I'm excited for that.
In the same boat for sure. Yeah,
cool.
I'm excited for this to drop and see what it does to the format. So hopefully it's good, and hopefully London Mulligan doesn't mess everything up too bad.
Yeah, I mean, we got to play with it. I don't know if you were playing when it was on Moto for a while.
I didn't actually,
but it was fine. I don't, I played a lot of Tron, but like I think that was just a nature. Like people just assume that like, oh, it's London Mulligan, therefore Tron's a lot better, so I'm going to play Tron, right? But like, I think as things like shape up, like the metagame will start to even out again. Plus, like, people are going to be on Moto trying to like test these cards out, right? So like people will be playing a lot of wonky stuff online, which will be kind of cool for a while.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited for London Mulligan in general.
Yeah.
Because limited and standard will be better.
Oh, totally. I'm super excited for that in limited. I think it's going to be great, right? And that's kind of you and my first love anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks for doing this. I'm gonna post this soon so people can start watching, and then we'll find a time to get the rest of it going.
Cool. Yeah. Let's get to the other cards.